I'm Gail Hagelund with Westminster Canterbury Richmond, and we're here in our TV 970 studio to talk about a very special program that happens here every summer. It's called Senior Summer, and it was started by resident Ann Archer. She's our founder, and she's our coordinator. Ann, tell us about this program.
Gail, I got the idea for this program when I was still on the executive staff here, as a matter of fact, and I felt at that time that Westminster Canterbury, had wonderful programs in many areas and crafts and arts and so forth, but not many really academic classes where residents could participate and share their knowledge with a teacher who's teaching an academic subject.
Oh, that's fantastic, because I think when people think about growing older, and when they think about elderhood, they think of retiring, and they don't necessarily see it as an opportunity to continue deepening their intellectual life and their curiosity. So that's exciting.
One thing I would add, and I think Bill would agree, because most of our teachers take many of the courses. We're interested in each other's courses, and we're continuing to learn from each other and from the other faculty.
Great. Well, let me introduce Dr. Bill Blake, who's here with us today also. Bill has been involved with summer seniors for 3 years,
Mm-hmm.
3 years
Right.
as a teacher. But Ann, tell us more about the program.
Well, we have really three kinds of classes, and the first group, I'd say, 3 of the classes happen to be language classes for which there is real homework and preparation that has to be done. Then we have 3 classes that are very interactive with handouts ahead of time so that the students who come read the homework, and boy do they read the homework, and then enter into discussion. We had a very successful course that finished last week in Science in the News. It was science from the science section of the New York Times, which comes out every Tuesday. And every week we chose articles and handed them out and then discussed them. The teacher was Nancy Habenecht, who's retired head of the science department at St. Catherine's School. And at the end of that course, everybody said, "Nancy, will you come back? Can we do this next year?"
Oh, that's great. Give me an example. Were you at any of those classes, Ann?
I attend really basically all of the classes except Latin.
Oh, except Latin.
I
don't-
either teach or
I think that
attend.
would be over my head as well.
We talked about the environment, we talked about health, we talked about how long we want to age, all based on articles that were in the New York Times.
And that class was called Science in the News?
Meaning that,
The LA,
no,
I
actually it
mean,
was Science in the Times.
Science in the Times.
Meaning New York Times.
Double meaning, kind
Yeah.
of. Great. So you have language, and you mentioned Latin, and the other one is French.
Is French.
And you're a teacher in one of the French classes, aren't
I teach
you?
the French class,
You,
yes.
you teach that. And how do you approach that?
It's conversation, but every week we have a theme. It's a combination. About half the class comes from the community, because they used to be my students at the Shepherd Center, and half are residents. As a matter of fact, a new couple's coming tomorrow to the very last class,
Oh,
because
wow.
they called me this morning and said, "What's the subject?" Tomorrow, the last class, it's kind of an easy subject. It's your favorite trip to France that you have taken or would like to take.
Oh.
And so we'll have conversation around that subject.
In French.
Oh, of course.
So it's beyond just comment vas-tu.
It really is in French, yes,
That's terrific.
with various levels of
I've
abilities.
taken her, one of her Latin classes. She doesn't teach, but Lee Perkins. But so we teachers can take a Latin class, or I also have been in Ann's class in ethics. Dr. Singer, I believe, was the book we looked at, and her courses are really interactive. I mean, she asks questions, and we try to give her answers and tell them how we see things. Whereas my courses are very large areas, and people don't have to come in and take exams. That's one of the things they like about it. And so I mainly lecture and tell them if they want to have questions answered. I give them my phone number, my email address, and my apartment number, and say, get in touch with me.
So that during the whole 5 weeks of your class, it's really going on an everyday basis.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's great. So, Bill, some months ago, I read the 5 questions that you were going to be talking about in your
Right.
class this year, and I really wished I could have taken it. But tell us what that class is called and the basic point of
Yeah.
your class.
This class was saying great questions answered by ancient historians
Oh,
of
my.
ancient history. And so we looked at how people have tried to make sense out of the world in which they live. We tried to see what kind of government the ancient Greeks had, and we always try to make connections between then and now and then, back and forth between the times to see how human nature, which doesn't seem to change a whole lot, but nevertheless reacts and adjusts with what's going on at a particular time in history.
But one thing Bill hasn't told you is that we have to start every class with a song.
I have heard that, and that's, of course, what Bill is quite famous for here at Westminster Canterbury. So, what is the song that you present every single time?
May not get from A to Z, but we shall see what we shall see.
Well,
What's that about?
the song is relevant to the topic, and what I try to do is to, in each line of the song, make a generalization that fits a topic that we're dealing with.
So you're writing the song every week,
Well, I write the songs, yeah.
and does everybody join in to sing?
They do.
So
We
you use
give
a
them
familiar
copies of
tune?
the lyrics, and they sing.
So
They-
that's
they-
just fabulous.
I won't sing, but the lyrics like, won't you come and go with me? We're going to class to study history. We may not get from A to C, but we shall see what we shall see.
That's great.
It's
And
the
what was
first
the
verse.
tune for that one?
Syncopated clock.
Fun.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
great. So, Anne, when you think about the 5 years that you've been running this program, are you accomplishing the goals that you set out originally?
I think so, and I'd like to kind of elaborate on that because the year that I retired, I started a program called St. Catherine's Senior Summer, which was specifically St. Catherine's teachers coming to teach residents here and at St. Catherine's and other places. But that involved a fee because we did pay the teachers a little bit and charged as little as we could. Now in this version, because all the teachers are either residents or volunteers, we're not paid. Residents get the courses for free, and it's
Oh.
just such a major difference.
That's great.
I think last year we had registered for all the classes, and this means several people registered for several. We had 400 registrants, and the cost of the program, which was mainly for materials, was $400.
That's amazing.
That's a pretty good, yeah, that's,
So, Anne, tell us if you have 400 people attending these classes, where are those 400 people coming from? Are they all residents of Westminster, Canterbury, Richmond?
many are residents. Many are future residents. This year, for the first time, we invited future residents. I think you had several. Almost all the classes, including Latin, have people coming who intend to live here, coming. And it's a wonderful way for them to get to know not only Westminster Canterbury, but people of like interests. Also, residents can invite their friends. But
Oh, that's great. That's great. So not only will people see what a great place this is, what a beautiful place and all that's going on, but they're really getting their curiosity piqued and they're meeting friends
Yes,
that
meeting
they'll
peop-
explore with in the future.
exactly. Yeah.
That's great. What's the variety of size of class?
Let's say 3 to 102.
3 to 102. My goodness.
Actually, the 3 is one of Lee Perkins' Latin classes, but he invited some of his Shepherd Center winter students to join, so I think it's bigger than 3 now. I think it's 5 or 6 in the Latin classes. And then the registration for your class, and we may have had more, was 102.
That's fabulous. That's
And,
just
One of
fabulous.
the nice things is that Anne sees to it that we have the roster, and I get a chance to look at the names ahead of time, and I go to my picture book, the directory, and then teacher and student get along much better when they know each other. And so I will try to get in 10, 15 minutes before the class starts, and people come in, greet them, and we get personally acquainted. But then I know so many people here because I've made it an object to try to know people's names, because that's so important, as you well know.
It
Because you
is.
know everybody's name here too.
I wish I could say that I
Yeah.
did know everybody's name,
Well,
Bill,
but
but I
you-
certainly try to. You know, Bill, we should have told our listeners and our watchers of this program about your background, and so you have been a professor other places than Westminster Canterbury.
I taught my first college class in 1954.
And where was that?
So it was in Cincinnati, at a small church college called the Cincinnati Christian University was the name of it. That's where I met my wife.
Oh,
And,
great.
Then after that, studying to be a minister, which I'm an ordained minister, I went to the University of Cincinnati because I felt that you can't be a biblical scholar unless you know history, because all the things that happen in the Bible and all the writings have a historical setting, and if one doesn't understand that, then one can't really grasp the full meaning. And so those theology and history have gone together beautifully, and from the 50s on into the present day. I taught my last full-time class in 2012 at VCU, where I am now faculty emeritus at VCU.
You recruited a stellar cast of characters. Thank you so much. That's amazing. That's
If you
wonderful.
think of our audiences, I mean, our audiences, we've got theologians and
Yeah.
lawyers and doctors and teachers and professors, and I mean, it's when you, I try not to think about it too much and stand up, and because if I thought too much about that audience, I think I'd be scared out of my wits.
Well, I think we all know.
Yeah.
You used to teach college, I used to teach high school. And usually if you're teaching French to high school students, you know more about French than they do. Whereas here, you can assume that anything you say, there's somebody here who
An
knows more about
expert.
it than you do.
Yeah.
Someone who's an expert on that
Right,
subject.
yeah.
Yes, that's so true. Well, one of the things that's really important to me is the idea of disrupting ageism. Ageism is the tendency of people to discriminate or show prejudice based on age. And so much of our society has taught that aging is somehow negative or something to even poke fun of. If you go to look at birthday cards for people as they get closer and closer to 65, the cards, tell you you're over the hill, or, and it is just wrong of us to internalize the attitude that aging is anything negative, when in fact our older years are something to celebrate, and we have time in our older years to do exactly what's going on here, to spend time learning, to spend time sharing with one another, and to explore things that we didn't get a chance when we were so busy achieving. So I really love this program for many reasons, but especially because to me it is one of the prime examples of defying and disrupting ageism. We're doing a better job of disrupting sexism and racism than we are in this country of ageism. So thank you for blowing the entire image of negative aging on its head. That's great.
Well, I feel that as a resident here at Westminster Canterbury, that you don't feel much ageism around here. And I'd like to say that many of our faculty members are 85 or older, so that not only the students but the teachers have a certain amount of experience on us.
It's one of the great things about working here is that, you just have any negative image that you may have ever had about aging just blown away.
Pretty much.
And therefore, as I get older every day, I continue to just be looking forward to every new day, because I'm hoping one of these days to take a class from Bill Blake and a class from Ann Archer and
having the time
and
to
have
do
the
it.
time to do that and to do the homework. Well, I want to thank you so much for sitting down with me today to tell me about this fantastic program, Senior Summers.
Oh, we can't wait until you participate in it.
Well, thank you. I look forward to it. And I hope that you'll stay tuned for more shows about the great things that are happening here at Westminster Canterbury Richmond. Thanks so much, Ann Archer, and thank you so much, Bill
We
Blake.
thank you for asking.
Yes, indeed.
Absolutely.